Hey, welcome. Hey, welcome to my channel. Sorry, I'm gonna make this quick. If you've seen my channel before or have been on my channel and seen some of my live streams, you've seen that I made a New Year's resolution that once a week I'd always create at least a live stream for a short period of time, or whatever may be, on whatever subject may be. Today, I'm just gonna live stream a little bit about the fact that of the Miami Formula One Grand Prix 2023, basically. And if you saw my prior videos, you would have seen as well too to the effect of how things played out where after the qualifying, basically with the pole position and such. I kind of garnered, or I don't want to say predicted, but like guesstimated what the outcome should be, and I was almost correct in a ways. I mean, first off, I was surprised that I actually is right about Lewis Hamilton finishing sixth. I figured he was going to be finished no more than sixth. Um, I was right about Alonso finishing out of third or fourth. I thought he was going to battle it out with Sainz, but I didn't realize that Sainz was going to have issues with the fact of, well, basically, Sainz was going to have an issue basically altogether with that 5 second penalty and such. But in any case, I mean the results are in basically Max Verstappen finishing first, Perez finishing number two, Alonso finishing three, Russell finishing four. That kind of surprised me. I thought he was going to probably be five or seven. Hamilton finishing sixth, Leclerc finishing seventh, which I kind of garnered he was going to be around there, at least seven or eight. Gasly and Ocon actually was a surprise. I didn't realize Alpine was going to actually finish eighth and ninth, to be quite honest. Magnussen, I kind of figured, like he was fourth in the pole position, fourth position. And I knew he was not, Haas's car is not that strong to deem themselves to stay in it. So it was only given moment of time that you knew Magnussen was gonna, Mags was basically gonna finish at least 10th. I thought he was actually gonna finish ninth or 10th. At least I called that in that aspect. But I think I did mention the fact is like between one and two, it's definitely one and two was definitely going to be Red Bull. It's going to be 1-2 Red Bull, and the fact was it was going to be a battle between Verstappen and Max and Checo basically as far as between the one and two spot, which it turned out to be in this case as well too. Almost could have gone to Checo, but I think the strategy with Red Bull towards the end of with Max basically giving him the media chance helped out in the long term, whereas with Checo basically giving those tires much early on helped him out in the long run, but short term wise, but long run turned out to hurt him at that point as well too. Alonso coming in and finishing number three. I think with the car that he's got, he's probably going to finish three or four for sure. If he wins a race, it's only by the fact that both Red Bull cars either break down, or two, they crash out, or three, some massive penalty points. That's all I can see that happening basically. But reality is, Alonso, chances are, is going to finish no higher, maybe second in one of these races, or third at most, which seems reasonable for Aston Martin if they keep playing the way they do. I'm not playing, but if they keep finishing the way they do, and looking between their with Aston Martin and Mercedes, quite honestly, it's another factor as well too. I mean, to overall points, of course, Verstappen's running away with it practically. Like again, it looks like this is going to be a third stop or third championship for him, basically third consecutive. Sergio probably is going to finish two. It'd be great if he could finish and give Max a full on competition for that championship, but chances are it's not. Lewis, I hate to say it, but Hamilton's not gonna be where he's at, so it's probably gonna be if he can get third, a couple here and there, and second, or maybe finish first in a couple of them, he might be able to get that third spot. But reality, I don't think that's happening, unfortunately, because of the way that Mercedes' car is. It's not happening, and the fact is like Aston Martin seems to be doing something that Merc can't do for some reason, and of course, unfortunately, with Ferrari, Sainz and Leclerc, they're not going to finish no more than five. Quite honestly, I mean, I foresee Russell. I definitely foresee Russell basically going up and taking the fifth spot at that point as well too. Leclerc, I think he's gonna like crash out or engine failures, whatever it may be. Sainz will be a solid six at least for sure. It's a question. I think it's gonna come down to Sainz and Stroll for the sixth spot. It'd be great if there was Sainz and Russell for the fifth spot. Same thing for Sainz with Hamilton for the fourth spot, but I doubt that's gonna happen. So I think it's gonna come down to Hamilton finishing fourth. If he finishes a couple of races in first or second and a couple of thirds, then he's definitely gonna have a battle with Alonso for the third spot. But I don't see any of them actually battling for the second spot. Checo, if he can win 2 or 3 more races, then I would say yeah, he has a shot, a legitimate shot at like competing with Max. Um, Now with Red Bull overall, the Constructors Cup, I mean, again, I think it's going to be another year for Red Bull. It's reminiscent of the '09 to 12 years, basically, or sorry, '08 to 12 years, basically, or practically something like that, where it was all a young driver by the name of Sebastian Vettel or Sebs, and Red Bull constantly winning for 4 years straight. I think this is probably what we're going to see with Max and Red Bull for that matter, unless for some reason or another Sergio does something to kick himself off that lines Daniel Ricciardo to come back in. But I don't see that happening, quite honestly. Everyone's thinking like Ricciardo's going to be in there. I hate to say it, but he's out. He's done. Unfortunately, there's no way he's going to get the. He's not going to get the Aston Martin. He screwed up on basically McLaren, and McLaren actually it's rightfully so because McLaren's car looks like there's issues along the ways where they're having issues. Alpine, honestly, if basically if Daniel did not leave Renault, which is now Alpine, he might be helping him lead the pack. Honestly, it could have been him and Ricardo and Alonso out in Alpine at that time. I don't see Aston Martin unless the only way I see Ricardo coming back is if Aston Martin somehow, if Alonso retires after this year, which I highly doubt, or two, if we see basically Lewis retiring, which we don't see happening as well too. I think Lewis wants that 8th title. He wants to go for that 8th title for sure. The question is with Williams, they're pretty surprised with there. Haas is doing pretty decent now compared to what it was a year ago and 2 years ago for that matter. But I think the 5th and 6th spot is definitely going to be between McLaren and Alpine. The 3rd spot between Ferrari and Mercedes, depending on how Sainz finishes off and Russell finishes off. But I don't see Mercedes catching Aston Martin. I think this is another year where Red Bull basically, wins another Constructors' Cup at this point as well too. Now, mind you, the reason why I'm doing this live, now, mind you, I don't. Sorry. So sorry. I should say first and foremost, if there's any chats being put in place, I don't see it. Unfortunately, I'm on. Oh, actually, let me turn it on right now. I never bothered to turn it on. I'm sorry. I'm on OBS basically. I was chatting, live streaming it from there. But in any case, it looks like there's some kind of issues going on between OBS and YouTube, so I don't always see it live. But if you have a comment, want to leave a comment, you're welcome to leave a comment, and I do answer read my comments, and I do answer when I garner a response. Also, at the same time, I will say this: if you do enjoy my videos, do enjoy my content and my channel, please subscribe. And I welcome more and more feedback from you guys as to making my channel better. Also, one of the other things I'll say is this: I did try to actually record this a little bit more better. It was kind of bulleted point in a ways, much better, and I actually had some highlights. The problem is YouTube marked it off as copyright because the highlights that I got were pretty much copyrighted apparently. So I'm like, all right, even when I showed snippets, they pretty much copyright me. I don't know how to get around that. I don't know how other people are able to get around that. Maybe there's some stuff that I should be putting in, like a mark or something like that. But outside of that, I had some commentary basically on during the some of the snippets that I had in this case. But unfortunately, I'm not allowed to do that. It seems like, especially if it was aired on, if some other people posted it on YouTube as well too, which kind of sucks. But I found out later that there were some videos that were similar on YouTube, specifically even from Formula One. I'm like, great, I can't take those anymore because of that. So, but in any case, I'll leave it at that. If you have any comments, please leave me comments. I do read them. Of course, this is live. I'm trying to make this quick because I want to finish this in under 10 minutes because the Knicks game is going on. I would love to see the Knicks game. If you know me and the Knicks, I want the Knicks to win. I think if you've seen one of my prior videos as well too, it's one of those things where I said basically the way the Knicks can win this game is only if and only if basically not one thing is sorry. The only way the Knicks can win this game is basically, and the only way is if Barrett actually starts scoring. That's the only way that they're winning this game. Because if he doesn't score, there's no purpose to it at this point. Because quite honestly, I hate to say this, but like the way Miami was able to play against the Knicks and their offense, everyone's going right on Randall. You know what? You could bench Randall, but if Barrett doesn't score, that's pretty much it. Because it can't be Brunson. It's got to be someone else beside Brunson. If Barrett scores 30 points, I think the Knicks win. If both Barrett and Brunson score 30 points, they win. If Barrett scores 25, Barrett scores 20, 25, Brunson scores 20, 25, and Randall scores 20, 25. It's a hard one to say unless their defense held Butler, Jimmy buckets in place. Then the other person that has to score at least a good 15 to 20 points is Toppin, or a combination of Toppin with Robinson, or Toppin, Robinson and Hart, basically, because they need those points. And like, unfortunately, their defense is not that good. They won't be able to stop They won't be able to stop Jimmy Buckets, or Butler. Sorry, I keep calling Jimmy Buckets. His nickname is Buckets anyways, because the guy, whenever he shoots, practically buckets. In any case, I'll leave it at that. Unfiltered. And by the way, after this game, I'll give you my highlights, not my highlights, but my thoughts about it, and some feedback about it as well too. But with it, I'll leave it at that. Unfiltered, unedited, and unrehearsed.